Welcome back, my movie lovers, to another Norman Zedrick the Critic review. I'm Alec Perez. We are finally back in the studio. As you may see, it's been a crazy summer so far. I have been doing a lot of things, so we have not been in the studio. We're officially now back, and today I am going to be talking about a franchise that is so well beloved, and it holds a dear thing into my heart. We're going to be talking about the Despicable Me movies. Now, before we begin into those movies, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and link the bell to get notified about every ranking of Norman Zedrick the Critic's reviews. So today we're talking about the Despicable Me franchise that expanded the Illumination Entertainment animation studio. It's one of the kind, the most amazing, most child-friendly franchises of all time that Illumination had created when they launched it in 2007. These movies had spanned $5 billion for the Illumination company. It's so crazy to think about, and I'm so excited to really get into this as they made prequels to the Minion franchise, all of that. It's really great, and I'm very excited to really get into this. We're going to go in timeline order. As I mentioned, they made a Minions franchise. They only made 2 films so far, but who knows if they can make more movies to come. Alright, so the first movie is Minions, and before we begin into the story, let's talk about the achievement this movie made. So Minions made a 56% with critics with a 49% audience score, and the box office achievement is the highest grossing of the Despicable Me franchise, $1.159 billion worldwide. The story takes place of where the Minions came from. It kind of makes it funny where they came into the being of the dinosaur times, then they go to one master to the next. So the Minions are basically these creatures that are looking for a master, and they follow masters to a dinosaur, to a vampire. They were in the Ice Age serving a master, and it was not until time that Kevin set off on an adventure to go find a master. It was not until they ran into carpooling with the Nelson family. They are met with the father, Walter Nelson, portrayed by Michael Keaton, his wife, and 2 kids. They are very huge villain fans, and they were going to this villain con where they would eventually meet Scarlet Overkill, portrayed and voiced by Sandra Bullock, and her husband, Herb Overkill, portrayed and voiced by John Hamm. It was not until that they had an auction to see who would be the villain henchman, and it was Bob that won the competition and was serving now Scarlet Overkill. So Scarlet Overkill takes the Minions to her place in London and was dreamed to be the Queen of England. They were set and tasked to steal the Queen's crown, and it was not until that Bob pulled the sword out of the stone, became king, and that tempted Scarlet Overkill to kill them. They succeeded. All the Minions that were from the Ice Age came to London. They formed and battled it out with Scarlet Overkill. They saved the day, and that was when Gru, the youngling that is voiced by Steve Carell, that they found their actual true master and followed him instead. That is the story to that one, and now we're going to see of where Gru and the Minions formed a friendship together in Minions: The Rise of Gru. So this made a 70% with critics with an 89% audience score, and the box office is $939.4 million worldwide. And the story takes place with young Gru and his minions living with them and forming the villainy. Gru was dreamt of joining these villain henchmen, a group of a team of villains that steal and capture anything they want. The leader is voiced by Taraji Henson. She is the leader of the pack. He has dreamt and auditioned to go in that villain group. He didn't manage to fit in and actually be a villain for that company, and he stole their most notable prize. Kind of picture it in the 90s Museum when Prince had that thing where it makes all of the statues come to life. It's basically something like that. He runs into a friend along the way by the name of Wild Knuckles, portrayed and voiced by late Alan Harkin. He is also kind of stepping toward into the villainy side. They formed a friendship together, and they parted ways when he may have found out that he was trying to betray him. Along the way, the Minions were trying to find Gru wherever he went. They run into a Chinese martial arts woman by the name of Master Chow, voiced and portrayed by Michelle Yeoh. Her character trains them how to be exactly like a Chinese karate type minions. They hallucinated them, and they made them so very powerful where they can disrupt things, and I think one of the minions turns into like a chicken. They managed to succeed. They defeated and captured the villains of that dream he was meant to go to, but really they were just bad villains. And that's where the prequels to the Minion franchise ends, and now we're about to get into the movie that started the Despicable Me franchise with the first movie, Despicable Me. Now, Despicable Me made an 80% fresh critics review with an 83% audience score, and the total box office achievement since this is the first movie was $543.6 million worldwide. Now, the story takes place with an older Gru as he became what he exactly wanted in Minions Rise of Gru, to be the villain that he was meant to be. Now, his secret mission was to capture the moon. He stole the Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. Now, his next task is to steal the moon. But he's not the only one that's stealing the moon. Vector, voiced and portrayed by Jason Segel, was also the one in the works of stealing it, and is the father to the most notable villain, Mr. Perkins, voiced by Will Arnett. Their task is to steal the moon. He runs into these three little girls that are orphans. Margot, portrayed by Miranda Cosgrove, Edith, voiced by Dana Geyer, and Agnes, voiced by Elsie Fisher for only Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2. They had the task to adopt them, use them to get the shrink ray from Vector, who they were selling cookies to. Later on, the girls found out that he was only using them just to get what he wanted, and then he gets rid of them. He gives them back to Miss Hattie, which is voiced by Kristen Wiig. He is on the task to steal the moon, and he made minor choices that he was getting closer and closer with the three girls that he adopted. He made a terrible mistake and flew back to Earth to go see this recital that he promised to Agnes. He managed to succeed. He got the girls back, and Vector got what he wanted, was to have the moon. He's fully on the moon himself. And that is where the story ends with Despicable Me 1. Now we're gonna get into Despicable Me 2. Now, Despicable Me 2 made a 75% fresh critics review with an 85% audience score, and the total box office is $971 million worldwide. Now, the story takes place with Agnes having a birthday party, and for Gru throwing that party. Gru, he lives on his own. He has nobody to love, and he has a friend that is so very sarcastic and trying to get him into the dating life. He's not a villain anymore. He's now a jam collector making person. He was now set on a task by an agent by the name of Lucy Wilde, that is voiced Kristen Wiig, who also voiced Miss Patty from the first Despicable Me. And their task is to capture whoever is stealing the jam. They later find out that it's this villain, El Mancho, voiced and portrayed by Benjamin Pratt. They were trying to find his secret headquarters. He finds out where he is when they got invited to a Cinco de Mayo party from his son, Antonio, voiced and portrayed by Moise Ariana. Margot had a crush on him, and Margot was invited as well. That gave Gru the chance to actually go and see if there was something going on in that area. And they found that it was exactly El Mancho, the one who is capturing all this. Dr. Nefario, who was the doctor to Gru, retired, but didn't really retire. He works now for El Mancho, stole the minions and made them these vicious monsters. And Lucy Wilde, who they found who the villain was scheduled to go to Australia, but she got captured by El Mancho. She was almost set to be killed in a blasted volcano. Gru saved her life, and well, they fell in love. They married each other, and that's where Despicable Me 2 ends, with them living happily ever after, but who knows? We might see it breaking apart as we enter into Despicable Me 3. Now, Despicable Me 3 made a 58% with critics, a 53% audience score, and the box office achievement is $1.35 billion worldwide. Now, the story takes place with a villain that is named Balhauser Brat, portrayed by Trey Parker. He is a movie star, and he got rejected from the studio when he had like a breakout of pimples. Nobody was interested in him anymore. That ruined him completely, and he was in the process of stealing a secret jewel. Gru at the time was finding ways of how to unfreeze Dr. Nefario from doing a full breeze blast, as he initially finds out that he has a twin brother that he never knew. And so he went to his mother, that is voiced by Julie Andrews. She tells him that they were separated from each other, and you know his mother, she never liked him. He goes to his twin brother's house. They tried to connect with each other and decided to go villainy when he retired out of it, and also capture the brat kid. They succeeded with that, so it's not really a big story. Now we're getting into the latest movie of our list, Despicable Me 4 that is currently in theaters and what the reason of why we are doing this review. So this made a 54% with critics, a 90% audience score. As it is still making money in theaters, I only have this at $255 million worldwide. It's still making the money. It's the #1 movie in theaters at the moment. But let's continue with the story. Now, the story starts off with Gru, the 3 minions, and they go to a villain award when the villain, Maxine Lemau, voiced and portrayed by Will Ferrell, receives the award, and Gru is undercover. I forgot to mention that he meets this group in Despicable Me 2 that is called the Anti-Villain League, that is run and voiced by Steve Coogan. Now, Mr. Ramsbottom is setting them living a private life as Maxine Lemau got out of prison when they arrested him to kill Gru. There was a new addition to the family of Lucy Wilde and Gru's little family. They welcomed a son together. Maxine was also after the son of Gru's as well. They are living their private life, and then Gru meets a girl by the name of Poppy Prescott, voiced and portrayed by Joey Kane. She finds out who he exactly was when he was trying to pretend that he was somebody else who sells solar panels. She wants to be exactly like Gru and go on a secret mission to steal something from a school that Maxine went to. That didn't work out according to them, and they almost got captured, and Maxine found where he was when he broke out of prison, and they stole his son, brainwashed him, and almost killed Gru. The baby got out of it, and Maxine got sent back to prison. Then it ends with them singing Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears, and it shows all the villains from the Minions franchise going into Despicable Me 1 to the #4. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, the end and the story of the Despicable Me franchise. So stick around and hear my honest opinion about the review. So what is my overall review? So the overall review is that this franchise is so funny, it's so entertaining, and it's just a great thing for all families to watch. I enjoy these movies every time. I really loved the first movie when I was very little. The first one came out when I was about 9 years old, and now I'm 24 years old, so they have been doing this for quite some time now, for nearly a decade. Illumination has been making a good process of a lot of their movies, whether it coming with the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the Secret Life of Pets, the Sing movies, and many others. A lot of their movies gross financially. They make a lot of money. The only thing I'm going to criticize about the Despicable Me franchise is that a lot of these characters don't age. It's very weird. The adopted girls that he adopted, Margot, Edith, and Agnes, they still have not aged from the first movie, and you see it from #2, 3, and 4. They still are the same, which is kind of strange, but it's very unusual. But I heard a theory saying that in the Illumination films that they don't age their characters, which is kind of weird. All in all, I really enjoy this franchise a lot, and I think it's incredible for the whole family to watch, to laugh at, and it's fun for the whole family. I think everybody will enjoy this franchise if you guys go and give it a watch. But I think I captured everything, everybody. Let me know what you thought of this review, and if you really like this video, I appreciate you give this video a like, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. With that being said, thank you again so much for watching the Despicable Me and Minions review, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.